All right, welcome. This meeting will come to order. Start off with a roll call. Terry Miner. Here. Dr. Bay. Present. Josh Martin. Here. Jess Bird is here. Big Smith. Here. Sounds like we're all here. All right. I think we've gone down the line. Terry, would you be willing to lead our pledge tonight? Were you?
Because you did it so well.
I don't think Spec's done it yet.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. And we're going to start off tonight with public comment. So we'll go ahead and open that up right now. If you have something to say, come up to the microphone up here, sign in, and tell us what you think.
I have to grab some papers. Is that the microphone?
It's such as it is, but it's only recording, so don't worry.
I'll see it first. Couple of things. You guys have been talking about adopting full county zoning ordinances, and they just updated the map prior to the update. There was no property in Erda that was on the farm. I have the previous map. The new map, I'm sure you guys have seen it. Have you guys seen it yet? It includes 2 properties. It lists them as PC plan community. Skywalk is the sponsors of the referendum. There's an ongoing lawsuit for that. So this is not officially a PC zone until the lawsuit is resolved. Oak Point is under a referendum. That is also zoned until the referendum is satisfied. So I request that you do not adopt full county zoning ordinances. I know on 5 of you, Rand, you said you wanted to preserve rural Erda. And if you adopt the county zoning map, you are not preserving rural Erda. Also, I have it in writing from Jeff Miller, the planner at the county, that KTM Suites in East Villas has not been approved. So I will give you, who should I give this to Corey? Proof that it has not been approved by the county yet. And also, I don't know how many people know that Skywalk, and I guess Jay Nielsen isn't here tonight since he sued Lieutenant Governor's office to stop and dissolve the incorporation. Exhibit 1 to their lawsuit, I have here. It is the notes of the independent boundary map, procedure for electing chair and vice chair, which was not part of what we submitted to the Lieutenant Governor's office. The boundary description, and the map. I did an emergency grandma request to find out, because this one page does not belong in here, how to elect a chair and a vice chair. I did an emergency grandma request. There are only 6 people that had that document. And someone provided it to Skylock to file a lawsuit to stop the corporation. The 5 of you and Camille Higgins, who did a grandma request. So I hope you guys will all try and get to the bottom of who is working with the developers to try to stop it. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Gentlemen, we didn't set a time, public comment. Do you want me to follow a timer for each person or?
Let's let this go for a little bit. If it
Okay.
gets out of hand, we'll set it.
My name is Kathleen Malice, and as Allison indicated, Skywalk has filed a lawsuit against the Lieutenant Governor's office. The lawsuit was filed on the 21st of December with an emergency motion to stop certification. The Lieutenant Governor obtained an extension on Monday, January 3rd, and that was the same day the Lieutenant Governor's office deadline to issue certification or notice of rejection. In order to obtain an emergency injunction, the court performs a balancing irreparable harm between the parties. Skywalk will argue that it will be irreparably harmed, but the Lieutenant Governor's office will suffer no harm, which is true. Erda will suffer irreparable harm if it cannot become a city, but it is not the Lieutenant Governor's job to defend Erda. It is Erda's job to defend her. Therefore, Erda must file a motion to intervene into the lawsuit with a memorandum opposing the emergency injunction before Monday, January 3rd. Erda should also cross-claim against Twilla for failure to approve the map. It will take approximately 20 to 30 hours to prepare these findings. I have been interested in Skywalk from its inception. And as we started to investigate it, when it was, they had a planning and zoning meeting, and we all went. We got a letter. And we found that the county had been working with Skywalk for several years to get that thing up and running and approved by the county. My property boundaries Skywalk, and that's the interest that I have in it. There's approximately 250 acres. So if they did 1 acre lots, they could probably do 200 homes or whatever. But that's not what they want to do. They want to do maximum high density with about 1,000 units rather than 200, which would be approximately what they have on that 250 acres. So when I look out my back window, I see Stansbury Island and Hamlet Island now. And I think about what I'll see when they build that monstrosity in my back. And there's nothing around it that will look like it, nothing. So I urge you to do what's necessary to combat this lawsuit, this Skywalk. Thanks.
Hello, Mike Christensen, I live in Erda, about 17 years now. I was not too good with words, so I'll just be pretty blunt. One of the main reasons we incorporated was to get away from the 12 county ordinances. So I would like to not see us just blanket all of 12 county ordinances. I know you guys have got a lot to do in a short time. But we just want to take all their ordinances. And I know the 5 acre lots don't work for everybody, but I sure hate to see any of the 7,000 foot lots. I'm fine with 1, 2 acre, 2.5 acre, whatever. But I'm not against growth. It's here, you know, it's here. We can kind of control it just a little bit.
Okay, just to make sure the record's clear. I contacted Jay Nelson after.
The record.
I'm Camille Hagan. I live in Erda. Anyway, I contacted Jay Nelson after a post online that the Skywalk lawsuit had been won. And so I wanted to know what that meant because there was a picture referring. And Jay said, no, it wasn't won. So I asked him to call me because I like to talk to the actual people who got the information. Jay called me, and as we got talking, we both realized we both had some serious concerns about Janet Conway and her conduct in our community, her conduct over many different issues. And so, yes, I did share the grammar request, which is public information and can be grammar requested. Did I know he was going to use that? I didn't know he was going to file a lawsuit against Lieutenant Governor. That's something that you guys need to work out, and hopefully I hope it does work itself out. But I can't understand that how Jay Nelson would be upset because he's being sued over a late map, and now Erda is asking him to turn in a late map. It's kind of apples to apples on that comparison. So I am forthright and upright in what I do and what I say. And so if you have any other questions, I would be more than happy to address those and talk to you. I did the grammar request because I do worry about people being forthright and forthcoming. And I want to see if our city is moving forward. I want to see it done well and done correctly. And my first concern came with Janet Conway when she met with you guys as a body before you were sworn in a meeting that wasn't public and the doors were closed. And I had a big problem with that. And that's why I requested that grammar request. And there are a couple other errors in there that I feel aren't being addressed, but at this point, I have faith and I have trust that you guys want what's best for our community. I want to work together for the unity of our community, and I really appreciate that because in all the things that I do and all the things that I work for, it is for that good feeling to come back and be in Erda. This is all I know. This is probably all I will know is Erda. And so I want the best. And I want the best kind of people leading us and the best kind of people living here. And that's all. Thanks.
Council, I have an online comment I'll just read for you. It's typed out. Hello, Councilman. I am writing to request that Erda does not adopt Willow County ordinances due to two zones, Skywalk and Ochre Point, are under referendum, and Skywalk is in litigation. The planned communities have not been voted in nor approved. I would also like to add that due to the pending litigation by Skywalk against the Lieutenant Governor, that our current litigator, Janet Conway, be used to continue litigation. Thank you, Diane Haney.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jay Zilkowski. Recently appointed as the interim fire chief for the North Tooele Fire District. So not to take you off track from the comments that have been made thus far, but I thought it a good inject to at least introduce myself to you. Let you know that I'm excited to be here, to be with the residents and the community. Well, how much you know about the North Tooele Fire District? I myself am learning more every day than 1 week on board. It's been exciting. Very fruitful thus far, getting to know the personnel and the services that we offer. And I just want to let you know that we're here for you. We've got a lot on your agenda, as has already been mentioned, not just tonight, but going forward. And we're here to be of support to you, not just in emergency services, but also in all of your other planning, zoning, things that you have going on in the house for assistance. And I'm quite confident that we are a full service in that regard. Emergency services, the fire marshal, even as your chief, they'll be able to help wherever you need by way of direction. I grew up in a rural community myself, outside of Eugene, Springfield, Oregon, and very much know the rural environment, the pressures that you're feeling. Again, we're here for you. I'll leave my contact information. And so if you have anything, needs or requests, we're at your disposal. Thank you for the time.
Jay, I've got a question.
Yes.
We reach out to you. We decided to pursue trying to use the firehouse for temporary or semi-temporary.
Yes. Yes. And again, we have support. Now, obviously, I will go through the board of directors, or trustees, but my initial thoughts would be that certainly would be final lunch for you.
We'll be in touch.
Oh, very good. I see that you have an EM and later fire marshal discussion, so I'll be sticking around. If that's okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Madam Matthews. We make this short, sweet. Good point. I strongly suggest that, or recommend that we hire Janet Conway as a minor peace litigation attorney. There's just no doubt. If we don't, excuse me, we'll be covered in cold, so I'm out of breath really. Anyway, if we don't, it'll get derailed. There's just no doubt. There's too many new lawsuits come down the pipeline with deadlines coming up very soon, very fast. We've got to get this done. Plain and simple. I know we all love Erda. We're all from Erda. I'm excited for this new phase of Erda. It's cool. I love it. I'm glad we made it this far. Ask you for your vote for Dan Conway. Thanks, guys. Real quick, appreciate y'all running and being councilman. I know it's not an easy job, trust me. Thanks.
Your second?
Oh, wait, we have one more.
I can try.
My name is Jack Beck. I'm not representing the fire service. I was here in support of my fire chief. However, you need to make a comment that keeping Janet Conway as our counsel would be a mistake. I think that it would be a conflict of interest. She's already shown that if litigations are happening, what happens if someone sues Erda while she's defending us? We've got a conflict of interest and it's not the way to do it. She's asking a lot of money for what services she is providing. $80,000, I believe, was the number. Our budget's what, 50,000 or so? If we do the math, I don't think that's gonna add up. Thanks. And move to the second that we close public comment. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Passed. Public comment is closed. Chair moves that we approve minutes for all of our previous meetings. November 24th, December 2nd, December 9th, December 15th, and December 16th. It's been moved and seconded. We approve these minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. Debbie Johnson, are you still out there? Where's yours? Debbie Johnson is from the Utah Department of Administrative Services.
Yes, and I represent the Division of Purchasing and General Services.
Okay.
I can just share what resources we have. We provide to locals and other entities. So that's what I'm going to do. So under the Purchasing and General Services, there are 3 different divisions. There's purchasing, there's state mail, and there's state surplus. And so just a quick brief overview of what we provide. At purchasing, we have state contracts, and state contracts are contracts that our agency has put together basically for state agencies, but state law actually allows locals to purchase our contracts. So you get the same terms and conditions, same pricing as actually agencies get. We've already done the procurement process, and so you're covered. You know that if you ever get out of the states, you use state contracts, so you're covered in that direction to follow the state law. We have over 1,200 contracts with millions of items on it. It's very easy. Anybody public can go in there and look and see what the contract pricing is. If you're interested, I can actually just come back later another time and whoever is interested in how to use those contracts. Each contract is, and people ask what kind of things do you have in contracts? We have vehicles, we have food, we have chalkboards, paper, office furniture, just anything you can think of that would be needed to run state government. Now, if we have something, or you are in need of something we don't have on state contract, we will actually, and this is at no cost. Services are courtesy. We have courtesy posting services. So if we don't have something on contract and we need it, we can do 3 different levels. The first level is we can, after you fill out your documents, we can post it on our public website, which meets that public posting requirements that we have in state law. The second one is we post the solicitation, but we also review your documents and give you detailed reviews on, where you might need to make some changes or make adjustments. And then level 3 is we treat you like our state agencies. We help you through the entire procurement process. I don't know how much you know about procurement, but it can be complicated. But it's also necessary so that our citizens know that we're being open and transparent. We're not just going to our friends to purchase from them. So although it's long, it's important. And then also we do provide procurement training to local entities if you're interested. The state mail, we actually, I think what I was told is the price that would cost for you to send out mailers, if you have anything to send out mass mailing, the cost for state mail is less than what we get to the post office. We have other services where we do the folding, we do the inserting, those type of things. Like I said, more information, just reach out to me. And then state surplus, if you have items that you need to surplus from your city, we can actually help you. We do charge you from the state agencies a small administrative fee after this. The one thing that is good with the state surplus side is we reach a broader amount of people. We have regular customers come back often and buy our items. And then a lot of people don't know about this, but there's a federal surplus program. And this is where federal agencies surplus their items. And it allows local entities and state agencies to get those items from the federal government. You generally only have to pay like the shipping costs to get it. There's a really quick list of items. There's just random items that you can buy. You know that, like the high school bought their MCAT, the big vehicle, military type vehicle, but if you're interested in that, we have to make sure you get signed up and you're approved on that process. So that's also a resource also you guys can use, so that they can help you assist with that. That's a really quick run through.
Would city councilman be able to drive?
No, that's up to you guys. Your policy states. So that's just a really quick. And like I said, these are just, we don't charge for these services. We're doing it for state agencies, and it's just, I don't know if you know, but with state purchasing, when you have somebody who buying after contract, you tend to get better terms and conditions and pricing. One thing that I like to point out is sometimes you'll go out to a vendor and ask, let's say if you were looking for tires, they'll say, oh, we'll match the state contract price, don't worry about going through that. But if you look at the terms and conditions, we require tire vendors to carry $2 million liability. And if you purchase into the contract, you're also covered for the terms and conditions. So there's a lot of benefits of using our contracts more than just the pricing. It's just the entire. Another thing is, if you have an issue with pricing or vendors not signing up or holding up their end of the contract, we'll actually go out and resolve the issue for you. So.
Does buying through this program bypass the need for the RFP process?
We've already done it for you. State contract, we've already done it. So that meets that requirement. Yeah. Is that everything we wanted? Like I said, if you want more detail, if there's somebody that really wants me to sit down and show them state contracts, and
we will, for sure.
Let me know, and I'll be more than willing. I can appreciate it very much. Okay.
Thank you for driving all the way out
Hey, I used to live out here, so I don't mind driving out.
here. How long are you going to
Oh, my husband's a trooper out there in 92.
What's his name?
He was a brand new trooper. This is his first area.
I knew most of that.
I have.
Over a lot.
I have a question for you to ask her. If you do business with her, that doesn't mean you can only buy food that safe for her, right? You can go to local businesses, even though they're not on their contract, if you choose to.
So we can use both.
You can,
Yeah.
but state law requires you to either have your own policies in place. A lot of times people get dinged on audits because they're not going through a procurement process. If you have vendors in your area that are not doing business with the state, have them reach out to me because we really like to encourage you to use our local vendors.
Some of your contracts only open once every 5 years.
Not always. Is there, all contracts are different. We have some that work every 18 months. They get renewed.
Thank you, Debbie.
All right, is Bucky Whitehouse here with us?
He is.
Hi.
Hey, council, I appreciate the opportunity to present or inform you of a couple of items that I need to have you take care of. Again, my job title for the county is the Emergency Services Director of Emergency Management. And the purpose for being here tonight is to inform you of some tasks that I need to have you do and give you some information. We realize that you're being exposed to the information that you need to know about everything that goes into that administratively handling a new municipality. But from my perspective, we need to inform you of some of those items as well, but at the same time, one is an action item that I need some pretty quick resolution to. With your new form of government, if we have an emergency, I are all obviously accountable, responsible for working with all the public safety entities to handle the emergency. You all from the policy and they will take care of the response and those sort of things. My function for the county and for you is to, and I work with the county council, is to make sure your needs are being met and that you fully understand everything that is going on to respond to every emergency. Many of you have probably heard of everything that is happening in Tennessee related to tornadoes. My role is typically bigger than the day-to-day public safety related activities. Those activities that are probably the 2%, 5% of the emergencies that occur. But when they do occur, officials are responsible for making sure that all those necessary things are in place and that we do everything that we need to. And so my role is to facilitate and involve that. Again, too much information right now. January 1st, we need to have lines of succession for a new form of government, meaning that if one of you say, and by law, by ordinance, the county or the chair of the council is the executive that we need to know if he is unable to fulfill his role or his capacity. Making declarations, dealing with some of the legalities, responding to emergencies. Who is it that will act in his behalf? And so what we essentially end up coming back with is kind of a hierarchical order or system of if Jess is not available to sign documents and do what needs to be done in the way of an emergency declaration to get some sort of help or assistance in the local community, then who's next in the system?
Is this a document that you provide or?
It's a document that's in this wonderful folder that I've got for you. Yours is special. It's got that document. The rest of these folders are just information that I need to have you take and kind of digest as we go forward. And, so that will be the front document that you have there. And so internally, if you guys could have a discussion for me and kind of figure out what that looks like for you, how you guys want to go ahead and handle that. If you
see a resolution here.
Yeah, it doesn't at some point I'll explain that in just a second. So I'll need an interim line of succession for you. And then in addition to that, with the new form of government, as actually with all forms of government, there was recent legislation passed, so 6, which dedicates or designates an emergency management liaison to work with me. And what I understand is you guys have already kind of volunteered with Terry to kind of be that individual to work with me, which is great. With that, the new form of government or the new town is also, city is also responsible for creating an emergency management plan and adopting county's emergency management plan. Most of the smaller towns and cities are adopting a county's plan because it's quite an extensive process to create a plan of this magnitude and have it in place. So we will also be working with you as we go forward to help you better understand that plan, help you better understand what your role is and how we will interface. Okay. Again, my role is to make sure that you all, your positions, right, are getting what you need along with fire chief, whoever you end up with, or your law enforcement services. So anyway, we'll leave it at that. Just to let you know, please take a look at these documents that are in there. The left-hand side of your packet, there is what we call a policy handbook. That basically explains everything that I just kind of glossed over at a very high level as to what elected officials are responsible for during an emergency situation. You more than likely not going to get woke up in the middle of the night, you know, for every law enforcement related matter. But if you have the earthquake, if you have the major flood, those kinds of things, you will be notified, you'll be notified, or let's go ahead and explain how it will. Okay? We just want you to know from our perspective, similar to what Chief Bosky mentioned, that there's a system in place, structure is here to help, and we know it's going to take a while to just get you up to speed and get you comfortable with what is out there and help you understand how the system works going forward. So, okay, it could take an hour, but it will only take 5 or 10 minutes to let you know what my purpose is for these. Yeah, but Terry, is there anything you think that maybe I might have missed or that you bring up to the group or something?
I see they talk about the NIMS system. What was it before the NIMS?
Yeah, so there's some training that is coming up, and you're getting an advertisement for that training. This training will be offered all of them. And it's the day of it is February 10th. We expect to remember that. But the 10th, we will be bringing different members, different elected officials from different areas in and talking about and NIMS, all of those kind of fun things. So it's not a mystery to you when these things that you discover. So we'll be doing some training here shortly. I don't know if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to call. I will guarantee you, you'll start getting emails from me. So please just take them, read them, and if you have questions, go forward. Please let me know. Work okay.
Can I ask you to send me an electronic copy of this resolution?
Yeah, in fact, what we'll be doing with that email or with our communication for the document library, we'll just, as we update those documents, we'll send you an updated. But I understand some of you do better with electronic devices.
We're all getting better.
Want to figure out Scott's email.
His wives or most people just whistle.
Okay.
He's got a new one now.
Okay, you get some. Okay. So yeah, that's all the time I'll take tonight. I just wanted to introduce myself, let you know kind of what my job function is to work kind of as the umbrella piece underneath the elected officials or and with the public safety agencies. Just make sure you handle all your concerns. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Are Dan Walton or Lloyd Evans here, or is that covered by?
I don't see them here. I work with them. I don't know if they're online. I don't know if they were online or not.
You don't, if anyone was telling the fire department about it.
Dan and Lloyd don't work for North Tula, they work for Tula County. North Tula provides the services.
There was confusion if they were coming tonight or next Thursday, so we'll just put them on.
So we have, North Tula Fire Marshal is, Chief Stout.
Thank you. All right, so on to the assignments. Start off with really and minor. Is there anything to report there?
So we were in a meeting earlier today with a new committee that the county council has established. And Jed was there. And so it looks to me, like the way we had proposed, just letting them keep the funding the way they have is gonna work out. The only thing being the clipping, the road.
There is one slight change. It's mentioned to us that it seems to our benefit if we claim the fuel tax and stuff, because by a population type thing, so we may get more out of it than if the county gets. And then we just pay them.
Yeah, so, what was the? I'm gonna be something say garbage, and I'm gonna get in trouble. We weren't allowed to say garbage or trash and solid waste. The guy over solid waste for Tooele County, I don't know why he knew this, but he figured out the difference. And if we applied for the money and got it ourselves and then gave it to the county, we would get something like $64,000 a year more. But we could hang on to it. Jed was fine with that.
There's like I said, 6, 8.
Oh, that was for the weeds and stuff.
Yeah. So, you know, we're just talking about a way to fuel tax, rather than just let the county get from the fuel tax, we apply for it. The state sends it to us, and then we give it to the county.
Should be about $64,000.
Yeah. The county does different math. They don't just go by the population. The city can, so.
Yeah,
So in theory, we could get more money by doing it ourselves and then paying them instead of just letting them keep the whole.
so they're glad to do it that way because it's no skin off their nose. They'll get $64,000 less if they apply for it. And so that's really the only
Applied towards mowing.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
only 6 to 10,000. So that'd cover that. The weeds and the weeds, I don't think is an issue because they'll do it for the cities or anybody. They just go out and kill whatever weed. But as far as the mowing on the shoulders, that would.
Okay, anything else on those?
No, we think we're in good shape.
Just got some online people complaining that they can't hear. I don't know if the microphones are turned off or I'm not the IT guy to fix it. I'm sorry.
How do you know if they're on? Oh, lights on.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you this time.
They're lighting up. They're lit up now, so I hope that's better.
I'll just tell them that we're doing the best we can.
Okay. I don't think that one's on. Is it?
I'll just say Alexa, turn on.
Okay, police.
So the county has set up these meetings for us every other Thursday. Seeing as Scott and Terry were there today, I could not be there. So in 2 weeks, we will have another meeting with the county manager and the county council members that are over us. And we will have that discussion and finish up the contract with.
We did talk about it a little bit today. Sheriff Wimmer wasn't there. But their understanding was like ours, that he's willing to do it. We'll just keep funneling the money to his department and,
Year at a time.
yeah, and do it a year at a time. And like the roads, they wanted just an opportunity to have a year's advance notice
For cancellation.
if we're gonna cancel, if we decide to go a different direction. Or if they decide it's not working for them, we get a year's notice. So it seems like everything we've talked about with Sheriff Wimmer is on track still.
Yeah, I believe so, but we can't have that meeting, or they won't schedule it again for 2 more weeks, but
Yeah.
everything should be on track and going forward. I think we're all on the same page.
I don't know why I thought that meeting was every Thursday.
It's every other
Thursday.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Right, anything else?
There's gonna be some other people at that next one that can go more in depth on some of the road stuff.
Oh, good.
Like the projects that are scheduled.
Anything else on police?
No.
Ordinance adoption. Cal, I understand you have something to add to this.
Yeah, I have some updates on my work and some comments I'd like to make. Over the last week, I've reviewed the Tooele County ordinances, all with the general ordinances titles. However, what I've found in reviewing those is cities and counties are governed differently and governed under different statutes. It's not apples to apples. And the primary reason that a lot of us have voted to incorporate Erda was to be somewhat independent from the county and the county's ordinances and serve some services. So I looked at Mill Creek as one of the towns. I looked at their ordinances due to knowing their attorneys performed with a lot of high quality, but I found that Mill Creek is urban in a large city. So I looked at similar sized cities that are based on agriculture but are experiencing rapid growth, such as Erda. I narrowed down my focus on Camas, Delta, and Morgan, which all have around 3,000 people, some more, some less. I came down to the decision to start modifying Morgan's because they were very close to what we need in Erda. I went through them and added comments and modifications to the codes to match our town. I probably put about 50 hours this week into Morgan's codes and into the research and development of these codes. And I have a rough draft done. There's a few things I need to add to it. That's why I didn't bring it today. And I'm ready for I'm ready once we hire a city attorney for them to review it. So I think we should table the vote until you guys can all see my draft and decide what they think. I think that Tooele County's ordinances are going to take way more modification than we think. The 16 titles, I've reviewed all of them. This is just one of the titles. This is Title 4, Boards and Committees. And I mean, the first pages, there's so many codes we're going to have to remove and modify. So if we do adopt these, I hope you're ready to dig into this and do 16 titles with 25 pages, some a little less, but
some a little more.
Some a little more. That's going to take a lot of work because there's a lot of stuff in these we do not need. So I'd rather adopt a city's ordinances rather than a county's.
Yeah, so I
Think about getting residents to help.
Go ahead,
No,
Terry.
you're good. Go ahead.
So Terry suggested possibly getting residents to help in our ordinances. So if everyone wants to review Morgan's or the counties, let us know through public comment or
Email jmartin@erda.gov and he will take your suggestions.
Yep. And that would help us
And csmith@erda.gov as well.
help us get a little more public input on that. So that's all I have to say. I request we table this today till.
I agree that we're not going to vote on this today.
Yeah.
I lean a little bit more the other way, and spending time in the county one, there was large entire titles that I thought, well, we'll just cut those out because we don't need to look at wind farms in Erda. And then as I read through that whole title, I go, this is guidance and direction on if someone makes an application for a wind farm, we already have all the rules in place. The way the state law reads, that if we don't have a rule in place, we can't enforce a rule we don't have. I looked the same thing at the nuclear waste provisions that are in there. And I thought that's a title we just won't even need in Erda. And as I read through it, it gives us protection. A couple of years ago, there was an incinerator that incinerated medical waste in Salt Lake that was talking about coming to Tooele Valley. If we had that there, we would already have the guidance and guidelines on what is and was not allowed for that medical waste incinerator. So while many of those things I thought, well, we don't need them, we would have to take them out. As I go through and read them, I go, it gives us a lot of protection and a lot of guidance to say we can allow something or we don't have to allow something because it's already there. And granted, there's a lot of modification.
Couldn't that be handled through the permit process as well?
Yes, but we can't deny something because we don't like it. We would have to have an ordinance in place.
A reason to deny.
There has to be a reason to deny it. So many of the things that were in the county statutes that I thought we would just get rid of because we would have no need for them are already there. The work's done for us. Why would we get rid of them? Something as simple as a sign ordinance. If we don't have a sign ordinance in place, someone can come make an application for a sign and we can't deny it. We may not want billboards, but we can't deny it unless we have an ordinance that tells us what we can and can't do with signs, or tells the general population what our rules are with signs. So
That'd be something our people could come up with, right? That we can put in as the residents of Erda.
yes, the more input we get, the better.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The problem I have is if we just all out adopt the county's ordinances, it's gonna be very hard to modify them while they're already adopted. I know we're gonna have to go through a process. We're gonna have to vote on every amendment and every change, when in reality, we take the public comment, we combine some of the county, some of Morgan, whatever we think, we do the combination, we work our butts off, put together our own ordinances, and we vote on those. Get them reviewed by our city attorney that will hopefully decide today. That's the best way I think we can do it. We come up with Erda's codes, not adopting the county's codes, where there's gonna be we're gonna have to have mass modification on all of them. Every title's gonna have to have a lot of modification to it, I think.
Well, and they would, but when we adopt it, there'd be some general things we'd have to go through. Change it from county code to the municipal statute, which is different. They match very well. Changing all the wording from Tooele County to Erda City, changing everything from council over, but those are all easy things to do in a word.
So what about the committees? We're gonna have to adopt, we've already approved the planning commission, how we're gonna run that, correct?
Correct.
We're gonna have to modify all of those ordinances with that, modify the pay, depending on what we decide with that. Human Services Committee.
We're gonna have to modify
planning,
these with everything we do.
Vacancy removal, powers and duties, entrance upon land, compensation. I mean, that's the first couple of pages, and that's so much modification just in Title IV.
So how are Morgan's different than that?
It's a city ordinance. They're very short. They're a lot shorter, but they're still detailed in a way that we can use them and still enforce things, where it's not just anarchy. We have codes, we have ordinances, but they're built for a city rather than a county. A county and a city are completely different. They're not apples to apples, and especially ordinance wise, what I've found.
Couldn't we ramp up our planning and zoning commission of our own and have them assist in that process as well?
I think if we agreed on that, that could be, but once we get our certificate of incorporation, we're gonna wanna have these in place. We're gonna have to have some.
We need something in place.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing to do here is for me and Kel to spend some time this coming week to put together something,
Absolutely, I agree.
blend something.
I make a motion, we table this till next time.
There a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of tabling ordinance adoption until at least next week, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll just comment because I couldn't get one in edgewise earlier. Mr. Martin, I'm very excited to see what you've come up with, what all that hard work has amounted to. I hope you'll circulate with that with us all as soon as you can.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll get that to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, land use and zoning, that is Bird and Smith. I'll go ahead and lead off.
Go for it.
Okay. We are working on a land use moratorium lasting 6 months. We've got to have 7 days notice before we can pass such an ordinance. And so we have given notice for that for next week. So expect, hopefully next week, we'll have that land use moratorium passed. Again, we're deficient one attorney, municipal attorney right now. And so I'm still hoping for some help with finishing touches on that document. And we will vote on that next Thursday. Anything to add?
Well, so I've worked with the county and had them update the current zoning in Erda, a map. I would have had it, but the GIS office was closed today. So I will get that to everybody, the updated one. But yeah, me and Jess spent some time. We actually talked with an attorney today, putting together a moratorium, because I think we've all agreed that we're going to need one until we have our planning commission up and going. And so we're putting together, trying to put the wording in it to allow the residents of Erda to continue with what they may have in process of building a home or whatever, but also giving us some time and protection for 6 months to get everything we need in place.
If somebody comes to us with a building application next week, we won't know what to do with that. And so we feel like this is a necessary first step for Erda.
So what's all encompassed under this moratorium?
No zoning changes, no building permit,
No subdivisions
no subdivisions.
At least 6 months.
for 6 months, and that'll allow us to get our planning and zoning going, make some kind of arrangements for engineering department. If we feel that we're up and going, we can lift the moratorium at any time. It'll also give us time to put a general plan together. Likely we'll need every day of those 6 months.
Yeah. I'm sure we will.
Okay, anything else on that? All right, articles of incorporation, map and retirement letter. This is Martin and Bird. Retirement letter is already submitted. Articles of incorporation submitted. I'll give a brief update on the map. Craig and I and one of the sponsors met with several people from the county, including Jerry Houghton from the surveyor's office and the lieutenant governor's office and legal counsel on the phone. And that was, when was that? What day was that?
Wednesday.
Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yesterday?
I believe it was yesterday.
Okay.
No, it was Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
It was Tuesday.
Tuesday morning.
Time flies when we're having fun.
Short end of the short story is we do not have a map yet. It's not been approved. Hoping maybe this long weekend gives the county and the surveyor the time that they'll need to be able to make that decision. I do feel like time is short. I do believe it's very important that we get an approved map into the lieutenant governor within, we'll just call it by the end of the year, within the 10 days that is in the law.
So is it not that it's been approved, but it hasn't been reviewed, correct? It's not that it has.
It's fully reviewed.
From the county, it has been signed off and reviewed by the county.
It's fully reviewed by the county. There are issues as far as the surveyor's office is concerned, and that is the boundary of Erda is bisecting several parcels. And the state's opinion on this is that there's a process in the law for the landowners to either leave the city that is being created or put all of their property within the city that has been being created. And so the state position has been that the map ought to be approved. Mr. Houghton has read different parts of the state code, which gives him some conflict on being able to approve that. And so we're hopeful that he will do that soon. And yeah, I don't have much more to say on that.
Yeah, Jerry had to compromise what he felt that if we took the bisected parcels out, that he could approve it. The state's position was you can't change the boundary line. The boundary line is what it is. So
Like we couldn't change it if we wanted to.
Yeah, we're not allowed to change the line.
We are between a rock and a hard place here.
The state thought he should approve it, but did say that he is the approving body. It'll be up to him. So right now we're waiting for our county recorder surveyor to either approve or disapprove our map.
So
Go ahead.
I think we ought to make it clear, though. We're between a rock and a hard place, but boy, Jerry Houghton is between a rock and a hard place.
He is.
I don't know. I don't know that I could make the decision he's got to make, because he sees his and his responsibility and his duty under the law. The lieutenant governor sees it differently, but the lieutenant governor has said, you're going to have to decide.
But it's a state statute, so you'd think it'd be the state that would be over the
You would
interpretation,
think.
and not the county.
You would think, but Jerry this has been unloaded on Jerry. And so he's in a tough spot. Right.
Okay, anything else on that?
Go ahead, Jim.
What if he doesn't
Approve it. What if he doesn't certify the map?
certify it?
Our understanding is
We don't know.
Yeah.
The state
the
said.
lieutenant governor's office could annul.
I don't believe that has ever happened.
There is no remedy in the statute for where we're at.
There will be after this, I guarantee that, though. I think the state's gonna fix that.
The legislature likely will quickly fix this problem because Lake Point has the same problem coming forward. They're going to be here in 1 year. So they at least are learning from mistakes where we're at. So yeah, there is no remedy in the law for it. We don't know what'll happen. Hopefully Jerry approves our map and we can move forward. But he may or may not. And like I say, he's in a hard spot because he feels statutorily he can't. And so he was talking to legal counsel and they were gonna come up with a plan and the decision was up to him. I'd hoped he would have made his decision, but as of tonight, we haven't heard anything.
It's gonna be, a battle for us to figure this out and go through it, but I think at the end of the day, the good part of this is we're paving the way for Lake Point to have a little bit of an easier process and know what they need to do, which is a good thing. That we can get some changes done in Lake Point.
For them.
Yeah, for them. That's the one good thing we can look at with.
It's a rough road for us, but it'll be
Very rough
good
road
for,
us.
it'd be good for the next incorporation coming down the pipe.
Yes, making changes.
Okay, we about wrapped up on that one.
Good enough for me.
Okay. Item F, IT. I have added a treasurer email to erda.gov. And we'll be covering a little more on that here in a minute. Anybody have any comments on that? Okay. All right. Item G, attorney. The attorney committee here is Drew Bay and Minor. We have a resolution drafted, number 2021-08, both to engage services and hire ourselves an attorney tonight. So, any luck, we will hire an attorney.
I remember seeing that.
Being that it's your committee, I'll let you open up here.
I don't think I have a copy of that resolution. Was it on the email?
I circulated an email and I meant to print it, but I did not. I will read the important parts if you'd like. I think I should.
Okay.
Do you want me to lead off with that?
Why don't you?
Okay. So this is 08.
He needs to read the whole thing
Okay.
before the.
Can you read the whole thing?
I'm happy to.
Thank you.
City of Erda, Resolution 2021-08, a resolution approving a civil legal service contract for a city attorney. Whereas Utah Code Section 10-2A-218 provides that upon canvass of the final, a lot of this is redundant in the next one that I'm going to read, so I'm going to ask that we only read this once. Provides that upon canvass, the final election of city officers until the future city becomes legally incorporated, the officers of the future city may perform certain functions, including but not limited to negotiate and make service contracts. And whereas on November 16th, 2021, the canvass of the final election of the city officers of the city of Erda was held, and the officers took their oath of office at noon, November 22nd, 2021, and thereby the council is authorized by Section 10-2A-218 to negotiate and make service contracts. And whereas the council has determined that a civil legal service agreement is a service contract as contemplated by Section 10-2A-218, and whereas after careful consideration, the council has determined that it is in the best interest of health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the city to appoint blank as city attorney. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council-elect of Erda, Utah, that the council approves the agreement for professional legal services as city attorney, and the chair is hereby authorized to execute and deliver the agreement. The resolution shall take effect immediately. Passed and approved by the council by this day of December 2021. That is the resolution. We'll be filling in the blank for whoever wins the vote tonight. And I will be signing that as well as our interim clerk recorder. Questions, comments?
No. So, in our discussion last week, we discussed the 4 applicants that we have, or proposals that we have. And that included 2 firms, 2 different municipal law firms. both of them come pretty highly recommended by other lawyers. And we also discussed that Blaisdell Church and Johnson turned in a pretty good proposal, and had a few things that the other law firm didn't have. One of them was a staff member that would litigate if we find ourselves in litigation. And then the other one was that library that they have membership in that can get all kinds of.
Can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
I asked Eric Johnson about that because I was excited about it. I kind of wanted a legal library at my fingertips. And he said that is not distributed to his clients. That is what they use.
But they don't charge us to use that.
For themselves.
Yeah.
Yep. But
Yeah.
we will not have access.
Oh, sure. I'm not sure I can make sense of it anyway, the way these legal things are written. So we were leaning a week ago towards Blaisdell Church and Johnson. This last week, we had one more proposal from John Brems. Am I saying his name right? Seems like a really good option also. He has a really good resume. And I want you to help me with the hurdles I need to get over. First off, the first hurdle is he's a one-man show with extensive background and history. And then the other one is I'm not entirely sure he's familiar with the type of community that we would be. The cities he's been involved with are pretty urban. Now, that being said, there's some.
Oh, no, go ahead, sorry.
There's some really good things that he brings to the table, such as he's done this before himself. He has walked new incorporations through the process, and I think that's a real asset.
He was a city attorney.
So, yeah, and that's his living. That's his livelihood as a city attorney. He's represented Mill Creek and Taylorsville and Harriman City. Currently, he still works for Mill Creek. So I'm in favor of Blaisdell Church and Johnson until you help me get over those two hurdles with John Brem.
So the one, oh, go ahead, Jess.
I have a little sales pitch for Mr. Brems. And since we're hammering pretty hard on him, I figure I'll read that, if that's okay.
Okay.
And I'll definitely try to cover the law firm versus sole proprietor type.
I think his fee was reasonable too. It was $150.
I think, yeah, that's matched to or better than church.
Well, if you guys will let me read my.
Sorry, we're not stealing your thunder. We're just.
Last week I was on board for Blaisdell Church, but I got a surprise this week by John Brems. I'll go ahead and read this. We are fortunate to have such good choices to decide from, but one of these choices stands out from the rest. John Brems, the former client of mine back when he was a partner in the law firm of Parsons Kinghorn Harris, has been fundamentally involved in the successful corporation of 3 cities. Taylorsville, Harriman, and most recently Mill Creek. I was surprised when he showed interest in becoming our city attorney, and the best part is for the same rate as the others. He has also offered to allow his fees to accrue without interest until we have our funding in place. I look at it this way. When you're building a swim team and Michael Phelps is willing to sign on at the same price as the others, you hire Michael Phelps every single time. I know that John is the best choice for Erda at this time, and that's why he will have my vote tonight. Now, he is a single guy. For most of his career, he's been on his own as an attorney. I think one of the reasons for that is municipal attorneys really don't charge as much as most other attorneys. $150 is kind of the going rate for a municipal attorney. And he has successfully incorporated 3 other cities working as a single attorney. I figure if he can do it 3 times, he can do it a 4th time. One thing that Cale brought to my attention, because about the law firm versus being a single attorney, is kind of a ratio. So we've got 3, maybe 3 people that might be helping us out at Blaisdell Church and Johnson. You've got Eric Johnson, who's kind of what would be our main attorney. He's got an associate, and then 1 or 2 staff members. I'm not sure. But that, I don't know where you got this number from, but you said they had 25 clients.
No, that was on the bells.
That was a bell,
Oh, okay. They're gonna have some number of clients
which I'd imagine is
wanting their
large.
attention all the time, just like us. With John Brems, it's gonna be 2 to 1, 2 clients to 1 man between Erda and Mill Creek. And I think that's a pretty good ratio. Mill Creek's been around since 2016. I have the feeling that he's getting pretty bored over there. All the exciting stuff for incorporation is done and out of the way. And I think he's looking for a new challenge. And if Erda can't provide that challenge to him, I don't know what could. And so, yeah, he'll be getting my vote tonight. So I think we should be very grateful and excited about having such good options to work with.
What year did he work for Harriman? Through what years? Do you know that? Do you remember?
90. Taylorsville was in 96 and Harriman was in 99.
Just 99 that year?
Well, through like 21 years.
21 years. So he has had experience within
18
rural.
years with
I think in
Taylorsville and 21 with Harriman.
Now I wasn't alive in 1999, but from what I know, Harriman at one point was pretty rural. Even at that time, I remember as a kid. And
well, the main thing is they're still here.
Yeah, it's very true.
They survived it. I want to survive this as well.
Yes.
Okay, so they are still here, but they don't look like what they used to.
No,
they do not.
That's what I don't like.
And John sent us some things to think about. And a lot of those made me think he doesn't realize who we are. What were your thoughts on that? You know, he was talking about things like lighting and about municipal water systems and about municipal power generation. And
he's incorporated 3 cities. I think, like all attorneys, he's got boilerplate material, and he had hours to put that together for us. And I know that he'll act under our direction.
Okay. He won't litigate.
He won't litigate. He will subcontract litigation when it's needed, or if litigation was necessary, we could hire our own. We have either option.
Okay.
That's I had an attorney who is the Michael Phelps of municipal attorneys in the state of Utah, and John Brim was on a list of 4 that he gave me. That being said, Blaisdell Church and Johnson was on that list, and so was Godfrey
Hayes and
so of the list of 4 that he gave me, it's amazing that we have 3 to choose from. That being said, I would still lean more towards Blaisdell Church and Johnson, because they do have a wider range of expertise with the extra attorneys in there. They do have a bonding attorney there to help us with our financial issues that we may come up against. And I'll be right honest, John Brim's a great choice. We wouldn't go wrong with him. But I would lean much harder to Blaisdell Church and Johnson. Just because I think they can provide a better service for us.
I think you're leaning towards Brim.
I want a proven horse, one that's been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
So you're saying you're for Blaisdell Church and Johnson then?
No. For Brim, he stood up 3 cities and all 3 are still here.
Another
And he's
events,
also been the city attorney. So he checked both the boxes for me. Incorporation, check. City attorney, check.
One thing about John Brems's resume is you'll see that he stood up the cities, he got bored, and he moved on. And he's an older gentleman. I would expect him to go all out, help us stand up Erda, and move on.
Was there a length of contract clause? Or did he say anything to you about would have to have a 6-month contract or anything like that?
He did send a proposal.
He can start immediately is about all I see.
Remember length, I'm sorry. I can try to look it up real quick.
I got the contract in front of me and I'm not seeing nothing.
What do you think, Cal?
I'll be right honest, him say, I don't think he said it, but having him move on isn't exciting for me either. I want someone who's going to be here and going to stay.
He's 21 years, so that's a long time.
He's been with Mill Creek for 5 years.
He's been with Mill Creek for 5 years now.
18 in the one and 21.
21 in the other. That's staying somewhere a long time.
So you didn't tell me what you think.
I think I'm leaning towards Brem's.
Right.
Just through his record of corporation and building, and then other than the housing in a lot of those areas, business wise, those 3 cities are very successful business wise, and I think that they've been successful other than their housing. I don't agree with, but
Like he says, we got 3 out of the top 4, so we can't go wrong with whoever we pick.
There is no time spoken of in Brems's
in his proposal.
Contract, so.
Well, so we're at least 3 of us in favor of Brem's. I'm okay with that. I like the feel of having the one guy. I have to share him with Mill Creek, but other than that, he's our guy. I like that aspect.
it's the difference between McDonald's and a mom and pop place. I know which one I'd rather go to.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been to some of them mom and pop places.
Yeah, he wants to do McDonald's.
Oh, he's voting
For flavor.
I think we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, I make a motion, we hire Brem's.
Okay, so I would amend that motion to say we adopt resolution 2021-08. And where there's a blank in there, we're gonna fill in the name John Brem's. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Terry Minor.
Wait for a second on that, please, Jess.
Yes. What do you need?
No, sorry, a second. You made the motion, but it was not seconded.
Second.
Do it, okay, thank you.
That's how second could be.
All right, it has been moved and seconded that we pass resolution 2021-08, hiring John Brem's as our municipal attorney. Terry Minor, how do you vote?
In favor of.
Okay, Scott
You're
Rebecca.
yay.
Yay.
So I'll vote yay.
Okay,
Yay.
Kel. Jess votes yay.
I'm going to say nay, and not because he's not a quality attorney, and I think he's going to do a great job for us. But I really think Blaisdell Church and Johnson would have been a better option for us. But that being said, I'm still excited to move forward with John, and I think he's going to be good for us.
Okay. Motion passes. We've got ourselves a municipal attorney. further discussion on that before we move on?
Let him know about the annexation.
He's aware. Item H. Should I not be saying garbage anymore?
Well, we got scolded at the last meeting every time we said trash.
Well, don't say trash, just say garbage, and we'll be all right.
What was his name? Do you remember his name? He didn't want to be the supervisor over trash. So that's why we got scolded.
Okay, this is Martin and Smith. Do you have anything to report?
Well, maybe we'll let Scott and Terry, because they talked with the county today, and this is part of their discussion today.
Yeah, it was.
Then,
so here's what it's going to come down to. The county has a contract with Republic to pick up the trash in Erda. I'm saying it, aren't I? The solid waste in Erda. And when we become incorporated, then we fall into the same category as Tooele City and Grantsville City. And their contracts with them stipulate that they have their own pickup, and then they bring it to the county dump site and pay a tonnage fee to the county. And so they don't feel like they can treat us any differently than they treat Tooele City and Grantsville City. So the long and short of that is they're going to give us 6 months to figure out who we want to pick up our trash. And then we can take it to them or we can take it somewhere else. But they'll have to charge us when we take trash to the Tooele County dump.
And the county will be taking back their garbage cans and we'll have to be getting them.
Yeah, at first.
My understanding that the county is no longer interested in doing trash. Is that correct?
No, they're going to give us 6 months.
I mean, after June.
Oh,
30th.
Right.
Well, and it's only because they have to treat us like they've been treating Tooele and Grantsville. And it looked like early in that conversation, like we might get to keep the trash cans as long as we take Tooele County off of them. But then the longer the conversation went on, the more he thought, like, I'm having trouble getting. I'm going to keep all of those. But who was here when we started having trash picked up countywide besides me? Because it sure seemed to me like we got a bill for the trash can.
I know when
So don't we own those trash cans?
the county actually owns the cans, but I think we probably wound up paying. I know when I had a second can, I had to pay for the can.
See?
Sounds like something.
That seems a little fishy to me.
Yeah.
The good news is we have a little bit more time to work through this.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hoping for today is we get an agreement from all 5 of us that we should put out an RFP for solid waste services and get that out now, because we're gonna have to have that in place apparently June 1st.
And just for information, what they gave us is there's 1,338 garbage cans with 908 customers.
In Erda.
Yeah.
So me and Kel will get together, put an RFP together for that, as long as we have an agreement.
We heard anything back from Ace?
We need to let them know the number of cans, and I think this provides an opportunity for them.
They did suggest that we do an RFP for them also. That was one of the things that they suggested, to get that out there, get that in the system.
The one thing that makes me really nervous here is that we're going to get down to that point, even if we start next month, and there's not going to be cans available.
Because they required an 8-week stand-up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we need to be
And that's
sooner than later.
And that's probably common protocol. That's probably not the supply chain problem that we have with everything.
Right. They did say there was a supply chain, because there was plastic shortage, but, and that's why I think we need to get this RFP out immediately.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm wondering if we're gonna I think for an RFP process, we need 3 bids. I wonder if even 2 others are gonna even respond to that.
It doesn't matter if they don't. If we put it on,
If it's on there for long
on the
enough.
site, if Ace is the only one that comes back with a proposal, then it's easy.
Okay.
I suspect Republic will also come back with a proposal. I don't know if anyone else will or not, but
I'd propose that we don't wait until the very end of that 8-week window. I mean, let's give them some time.
I think it's gonna be a
Right.
minimum of 45 days on the site be advertised.
Yep. It's gotta be 45 days.
So I guess we'll create the RFP, let Ace know the number and
Okay.
maybe Republic, I'm sure Republic knows.
we'll have to put the number in the RFP.
Yeah,
and
in the RFP.
Post it, yep.
And hopefully get bids back that are good.
Do we need training on doing an RFP?
And Kel will muddle through it. We will get,
Corey seemed to know a lot about it.
yeah, there's,
And I'll tell you what, Dave Judd seems to know a lot about it too.
there are multiple people who've worked on the other side of it. So it shouldn't be that tough.
Wouldn't that be something Brenda could do? Our attorney?
Well, if we can get Dave to do it
costs
for
money.
free, why would we hire him?
I think we're gonna have any attorney's hands full for here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on solid waste?
That's it for me.
Good phrase there.
I learned something.
Get a hold of each other and get a meeting set up and start getting at her. Sounds good to me.
Okay, we've got some more business to do, especially on the finance end. This is Minor and Drew Bay. We have I did speak with Mr. Brems tonight if we needed a resolution or not to engage Zion's Bank, but I think what we ought to do is have a vote that we're all in agreement to engage Zion's Bank. And then you'll have the full faith and authority of the council to go and do whatever you need to do tomorrow to get that done.
Okay, so we have a meeting with Zions Bank tomorrow to set up an account with them. Their specialist will come out from Salt Lake to meet with us. And at that time, we'll also get an idea of their program, I guess you'd call it, for lending money to municipalities. And then we need to compare that with what we discussed in our last meeting also was the county has the option to loan us money. They have the option to extend some of our tax revenues to us, and they have an option to just give us a grant, which is what Terry and I first proposed. If they would do that, we could probably be the first city in all of the United States to ever have our money and then make a budget and know how much our money is going to go, how far our money is going to go, and stick to a budget rather than making a budget and then trying to collect the money at the end of the year to cover our budget. So I don't know if they're going to do that, but that was our pitch. We also asked them secondary to consider giving us partially a grant and partially a loan.
I want it to be an advance to our allowance of what we would
Yeah.
earn next year. And they came back with what percent interest rate.
Well, and I specifically heard one of them say it could even be 0. So we need to find out what the county is willing to do for us.
We know for a fact it will not be the grant.
You feel like that was off the table?
That's what he said right off things.
Really? I'm sitting closer to him than you were. I didn't hear that. Touche. All right.
I think it's possible. I want to believe that there's a chance we get our certificate from the state before the end of the year. I hope in tomorrow's meeting that you pursue a loan right off the bat.
We will. We'll find out what their terms are personally, I'm hoping that they'll create a line of credit for us so that we could actually start using some of the money relatively quick. And then if the county comes back and says, well, we'll loan you this amount of money at 0% interest, then we can go ahead and use that instead of the line of credit.
Even the county said it'd be a couple months.
Yeah, the county doesn't act real fast on stuff, so.
And I think the bank possibly could.
Yeah, I don't know how quick their terms will
We'll
be.
find out tomorrow.
We'll find out tomorrow. Hopefully it's only a week.
Mr. Brems told me that he's good at procuring funds different ways.
Really?
Yeah. We'll pick
Does
it.
it involve bending somebody's arm?
He's a really nice guy.
Good.
Okay. All right. Chair moves that we proceed, that we engage Zion Banks and have them become Erda City's bank. Is there a
Second.
Oh, you seconded it? Third.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, it's unanimous, and go knock them dead tomorrow. Okay, any more comments on Zion's? Okay, we've got another resolution. This is 2021-07. This one's shorter. I'm going to read quickly. City of Erda, Resolution 2021-07, a resolution approving appointment of an interim treasurer. This is an unpaid position, just somebody to pick up the slack until we can hire somebody, kind of like what Corey Warnick is doing here.
2-year gig.
Wasn't in the underwriting.
Whereas Utah Code Section 10-2A-218 provides that upon canvass of the final election of city officers and until the future city becomes legally incorporated, the officers of the future city may perform certain functions, including but not limited to negotiate and make service contracts. And whereas on November 16, 2021, the canvass of the final election of the city officers for the city of Erda was held, and the officers took their oath of office at noon, November 22nd, 2021. And thereby the council is authorized by section 10-2A-218 to negotiate and make personnel contracts and hirings. And whereas after careful consideration, the council has determined that it is in the best interest of health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the city to appoint Adam Pendleton as interim treasurer. Adam, maybe stand up for a sec. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council elect of Erda, Utah, that the council approves appointing as interim treasurer, and the chair is hereby authorized to execute, deliver the appointment. The resolution shall take effect immediately, passed and approved this day, December 2021. I move that we adopt resolution 2021-07, appointing Adam Pendleton as interim treasurer.
I think we ought to have a discussion about it before we have a motion.
Okay, let's have a discussion.
How's the finance committee feel about it?
So, nobody has volunteered to do this or come forward to be hired. So, I'm not sure what's wrong with Adam's thinking, but he actually volunteered to do this. And I think it would be helpful to us, especially where he's doing it for free. And this will be a short time thing until we find a financial officer that we can hire. So I'm okay with this. I think it'll be helpful to us.
We're under the gun to have a tentative budget passed. That is also in next week's agenda. We cannot spend our first dollar without a tentative budget passed. And so when that became a reality for me this week, I started getting on the phone and finding out who might be able to do that for us. And Adam was my first call. And agreed to do that. And he does have something to present to us tonight. And thank you for that, Adam. Is there anything else we want to discuss before voting?
You got anything to say anything, Terry?
Well, when we get to this.
Okay.
You're gonna vote to hire him before you beat him up?
Yep.
Okay, I figured.
Well, that's good. I think he brings a wealth of experience and free labor. We have to love that kind of enthusiasm around here.
No, I said the word hire, however, there's no hiring going on. This is an appointment. It's completely voluntary. Okay. It's moved and seconded that we appoint Adam Pendleton as.
It's been moved, it has not been seconded yet.
Second.
Or was it seconded? Okay,
See why we have him?
thank you, recorder.
Job security.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 2021-07, appointing Adam Pendleton as interim treasurer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Adam Pendleton, welcome to the team. All right. Adam, the time is now yours. I wanted to give you 15 minutes. I'm going to give you 5.
Okay.
If you could hit the highlights.
Yeah, I'll come over.
We're going to beat you up a little bit,
Go for it.
but most often I want to make introductions here, and you guys feel free to work with this man.
So, I'm Adam Pendleton. Just wanted to help, happy to volunteer my time. I'm not just a schmuck with a computer, I do have an MBA, so I have a little bit of business experience, although, I'm a doctor in the community, so this will not be my full-time position. 2 years is a little much.
Just part-time, 2 years.
Just part-time, 2 years, okay. So really, as Jess mentioned, there was a bit of a time crunch here, we were under the gun, and there are requirements from the state. There's 2 essential requirements. One is that we have to provide an executive summary of our budget and then an actual tabular form of the budget, which all of Jess, I'm assuming everybody has that.
Up here we do.
Yep, okay. So the easiest way to start this budget was actually to go by the 2019 feasibility report, which essentially showed that the city of Erda would have been a feasible task. It started with year 0 and it projected out to year 5. We would technically be in year 2, so 3 years in. But for the sake of the fact that we knew that the year 0 numbers were the most accurate numbers because they were based on the census data, population studies at the time, what we've done is adopted all of the proposed budget numbers from the feasibility report, essentially verbatim. There was one discrepancy, and that was on the feasibility report. The total revenue number, there was a discrepancy between that and when I actually added up the numbers on the computer. The discrepancy was minor for a city budget. It was $5,000 on the dot. So $5,000 within a $1.1 million budget is not that bad. And when I say 5,000 on the dot, that means that there was likely either revenue inclusion that was taken out before the final was tabulated, or there was just a miscalculation. So the numbers I've provided you, they all work out, and as you'll see, they all come to 0. So that was where our numbers for just the initial budget come from. Obviously, as treasurer, I'm a number cruncher, so it'll be up to the council to move around the money as you see fit, and if you let me know, I can keep a running list and then just keep updating you as you'd like it. Okay,
So just, I think, to touch briefly so that people have the idea of what numbers we're talking about. The proposed total revenue for the year is composed of things like your general taxes, so property taxes, vehicle taxes. And then there's a couple of different sales taxes, fees from licensing and permits. And then, of course, we get funds for our Class B and C roads, which are paved and line roads and maintained gravel roads appropriately. So the total revenue proposal would be that the city of Erda for fiscal year 2022 can reasonably assume to bring in just under $1.1 million. The exact number was $1,099,165. And I would say that the only thing that the council would have to consider in this is that when you look at the feasibility report that was created in 2019, they made certain assumptions, and some of those assumptions were inflation rate, and they assumed an inflation rate of 3%. As a lot of us know, the inflation rate has actually been substantially higher than that. So if you would like, what I can do is do a proposal out and readjust the year 2 numbers to see if we would be talking about something substantially different, which would potentially change your, your lending options when you go to a bank. I mean, we might be talking about just running some other rough numbers, taking into account the more accurate inflation numbers. You'd be looking at a revenue of $1,189,500-ish bucks, and so you'd be looking at an additional $90,000 that you could reasonably assume based on the inflation rate. Then the area where I imagine we would want, there would be the majority of changes would be the expenditures for the government. All of these numbers that are in here, as far as there is an inclusion for payments for mayor and city council, which I know there's already been discussion, we want that taken out. Administrative costs, someone mentioned earlier, $50,000 in legal costs. Just as someone who's been involved with some lawyers, I think from what I hear, that might be a little bit low.
I think the first year that will be low.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question to Ryan? Was you involved in this feasibility as far as like the building official? It said 84,000. What is that?
Well, that was completely done by a third party entity, so they didn't take any input. Turned in for the feasibility study.
We kind of took that because we didn't.
When the other entity put together all the numbers, they didn't see any input from us, that was just done by a third party.
All right, thanks.
Would that be rent, Terry?
84,000?
I hope not.
No,
Well, it won't be rent. I'm saying, according to the feasibility study, could it be rent?
as I haven't read it for a while, but I think that is for new construction, like inspections. And if you look over on
a building
on
official
licenses, permits, it's $84,000 on income that would come in from licensing and building permits.
And it washes out.
Yeah, the building official would be what we pay for engineering on that.
Okay.
I think some of the other salient points would be that expenditures in addition to the general government fund, the other main areas of expenditure. Well, I'm sorry, let me go back. The general proposed expenditure for general government was $465,000. The next item would be public safety, which include police and animal control and dispatch. And these are based on information that were gathered from similarly sized cities. And that came to about $322,500. For streets and public improvement, that total was $227,826. And then initial startup costs of about $70,000.
Can I ask a question? Do we have to repay for the feasibility study to elections and how to do the math? Because those are costs that are in there, and I think the feasibility study was like $80,000.
Get to that. Terry and I will get to that in a minute.
Okay, so the total proposed expenditures were they were $1,085,831, which according to the feasibility report and this proposed budget would end up with a surplus of $13,634. All of those have been reflected in the executive summary following the state guidelines for what had to be in there. It was actually pretty short compared to the other ones because the majority of executive summaries going forward have to explain any changes in financial policies, but since we don't have financial policies, the majority of it was just the executive summary, which I gave to you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Finance committee, could you try to keep it to a couple of minutes, but you want to beat them up on anything right away?
Couple of minutes.
I think a meeting between.
About 5?
Sure.
Want to go first? So, yeah, Adam, we'll catch you up on what Terry and I have been working on. So, what we've actually done is figured out what we need money for coming up this year. And the feasibility study had a lot of things in it, like you said, that we're not covering. We're not paying. And so let me pass this down to you, gentlemen. This is kind of the way it breaks down right now. The problem that we fear most is we don't know what we don't know. We don't know how much we don't know. The city of Alta, for example, has 180 different categories of expenditures. We're clear up to 17. So we're going to try and do this a lot more frugally than some are doing it. So that being said, it still comes down to somewhere around $950,000. That also, though, includes the money for law enforcement, which we're not actually going to pay, but we're not going to receive it either. And it also includes our roads being maintained by the county, which is something like 260. What is the figure?
That doesn't come out, that's the.
I know,
Field tax.
$230,000 that we're not going to see, and we're not going to have to write a check for. We're not going to receive it. It's just going to go to them.
That's the fuel
Well,
tax we talked about.
Yeah, if we do it, if we apply for it and then pay them, we'll
see
receive
it
it
on
and
the
then
way
pay it
out.
out. But it's pretty much a wash, other than the $64,000 we've been talking about earlier. So
It also includes the 116,000 for the map and.
yeah.
8,000 for the.
So here's the reason the map was included, because at some point when we're certified, when we're incorporated, the map is going to have to be changed. There's something like 1,300 and something parcels in Erda that's going to have to be changed from county to city. And as my understanding is, Jerry Houghton's office is going to have to do that, as well as the city, as the county recorder. And whether they charge us the $116,000 or not will be up to them. But we put it in the budget in case we end up having to pay for that.
Plus the 4,000 for the elections, plus.
Yeah,
the
and
other
4,000.
45 for the-
So Alta only spends something like $2,300 in their budget for elections. But of course, you don't have an election every year, so that probably accrues. The county is gonna charge us about $4,400 for the elections. And we budgeted about $4,000, letting that accrue over a couple of years. We'll have more than enough money to cover elections that we're gonna have every couple of years. Other than that, you can look at this and you can give us your input. And Terry and I will get with Adam and
Yeah, just tell me how you'd like it changed and.
work out the fine details.
Is a tentative budget and not a final budget, but a tentative budget that will let us write checks. Could that be passed on Thursday,
Today?
next Thursday?
I don't know why not.
Great.
Other than I won't be here.
In fact, hopefully we'll have more information by then.
Yeah.
Because of the bank tomorrow.
Okay, I think that's.
Anything else on tentative budget? I was going to try and get a financial administration ordinance passed tonight. It is not ready to pass. Because we need the budget and the financial administration ordinance in order to spend money, we might as well pass them together next Thursday.
Let's table that till Thursday.
Okay, it's been moved, that it's tabled.
Second.
It's been tabled till next Thursday.
Moved and seconded. We table it. Let's table it until further, because.
Further than Thursday?
Well, we may have to do an emergency meeting, so let's not put Thursday on it.
Any emergency meeting will have to have 7 days notice. It's money.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we table till Thursday of next week. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You.
Now that we're almost officially off of that, can I just bring up one thing on that resolution? I think the one that I read indicated a breakdown between $5,000 and less spending and the number of signatures.
That's gonna be a complete rewrite.
Yeah,
I think we need to have lots of discussion on that.
yeah, I think so too. I
That's why
know.
there was no chance we could
I
get.
know there's a community in this valley that got into some real trouble by not having 2 signatures, even on smaller amounts.
In talking to Mr. Bruns about this, I suggested that every check, no matter what size, have.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea.
I'm putting office location back on the agenda. We had taken meeting location off the agenda, but office location is still a real problem for us, especially as we look to try to hire some people. It has been suggested to me by several people that I reach out to Bert Gold, who operates out of the State Farm building that you all know on 36 and Erda Way. He says that State Farm prohibits shared office environments. So a separate entrance and remodeling would need to be done in order to facilitate that. The approval for such remodeling and things would need to be approved by the church. So it sounds pretty difficult to accomplish. Maybe it's something we pursue or not, but it's not something that could happen right away.
In our moratorium.
We can't do any building permits. That's a very good point. If the fire station, I think, is the last option. From Kale, you're also on this committee. Do you
Yeah.
see any other option
I
within
don't
Erda?
contacted what I've thought of and they've all said no, or it's too expensive.
I'll reach out to the public if there are any suggestions whatsoever.
Mobile office.
It has to be a kind of a public location, residential.
So the county at one time did say there are empty rooms in this building and we could have a temporary office here.
Right, they did say that.
And that's something that, matter of fact, next Thursday, I'll be meeting with them. Maybe if you want to come with me, meet, and that's something that not in 2 weeks from today that we can discuss and and come up with them as a possibility if firehouse doesn't work out. Options we can look at.
We're gonna need a couple locations to split that up.
Comment?
Please.
The firehouse is going to be difficult. Chief C is new, and has not toured our facilities yet. The only place that we could have offices would be the Erda building. The Erda building is a fallback position for our Stensbury station where we're running our full-time crew. If the station becomes unattainable, we have to fall back to the Erda station. And that's where we will house our crew. So I'm
With
not.
the beds and things that are in that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I'm not sure, we could maybe do city council meetings if we pull the.
Oh, we need an office.
Right.
So combination between the fire station property, which on Drury and Arrowhead, that is fire station property that they own a mobile office building on that property.
I don't know how we, even with a mobile, I don't know if we can do that without building.
It has to be
permits and
ADA
inspections.
accessible.
I'll take one more.
It's something we can look at. It's definitely something we should look into.
Okay.
I do know that we are planning on paving the parking lot up there at the station this year. I don't know if maybe that can be bumped up. I'll have chief.
Fire.
We'll be talking.
Thank you. I'll take one. Got one. Or were you just?
No, I was.
Okay.
I know where there's an office.
Where's an office?
The old Settlement Canyon Irrigation Office in Erda, Utah. It's in a private residence and it's vacant. But all it would be is an office.
It's not a
You're right. You're right.
What about Pine Canyon Road, the Pine Canyon station?
I think the best thing to do here is if you have thoughts or ideas, please email them to us. And then we'll keep moving.
Let's keep moving. Council representative assignments. We've got two more assignments to make to organizations that I'm sure have meetings, and I don't know anything about either one of these.
We skip over the.
We can skip these for tonight because I don't have any information, but if anybody does, you can let me know, but it's
In the meantime,
FRC and ARPA.
I'll go to that WFRC thing again. I went to it last week.
Oh, you did?
They went to the COP, whatever it is.
Oh,
The city's.
Council and governments.
But that's what they discussed there at the Council of Governments, is that WFRC. I still don't know what it stands for. Oh, very good.
Are you our man?
I'll go to that.
Until vote on it?
Sure.
So did we not do the K?
Advertise for city clerk and treasurer.
Oh, yeah, I skipped that on accident, but I don't have anything to report on that.
I don't know what the AARP one is there, ARPA, but I'll cover that one because mosquito abatement's a pretty easy gig too.
Okay, should we have a motion? Chair moves that Scott Gervais take the assignment to attend WFRC meetings, and Craig Smith attends ARPA meetings from this time forward until we have until anything else changes that. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Mr. Recorder, do you have those assignments?
Yes, sir.
You. Now, from the councils, have there been any meetings that anybody needs to report on from some of the other?
Been reported on.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, and is there any comments from council members?
Seeing nothing, Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Second. Been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Well done.
Yeah. Where are you gonna get that? We're supposed to.
What were you?
Can I take this home?
Sure.
I was rushing.
Let us know and we can do more people. We want,
We wanted it to be.
It would be
for me, I want
Oh, Pine Canyon,
opinion.
Pine Canyon Road.
Everybody to weigh in on what they
Yeah,
want.
have a station.
Now, for your solid waste, I don't, would be
We use the
any way that we could improve. When we lived in Quincy,
service there. There's an area.
Air garbage
Maybe.
system was you go to the grocery store, figure it all out. Went to the grocery store, you bought these orange, one sticker for a small garbage bag, and 2 stickers for a larger garbage bag. You put them out, you